keep in mind that as you become deeper in love, because some of you are dating a guy and you're getting closer, getting married, and you want to, how do I get him to marry me, whatever. Patience, but also to know sometimes you have to tell him, I'm on a clock here. For some of you on a clock, and I love you. I wish it could be you, but it doesn't look like you're interested in that. And I'm not going to make you wrong for that. And I'm not going to pressure you in now, but I just want you to know that I'm starting to close down, and I want more than anything for it to be you, but I also have other things I need. And if I want to have a child, or I don't want to wait around for you, I'm going to move on, even though I think you're the best catch in the world. So you see, you have to say both things, and then you have to give it some space for him to make a decision on his own to do something. Because you don't want to be the one who said he should do something, and he doesn't want to be the one that you said you should do this. It should be always people's choice, but you have to inform him, and you do it in such a way that always makes him feel that he's a great guy. Because that's the key to a man being attracted to you. And the next thing to say on this matter is I'm thinking of little tips along the way, understanding men, is if you're at a restaurant with another woman and the food is too cold, the soup is cold, you're going to have a whole conversation with your girlfriend about how bad that soup is. It's overpriced and you got a better recipe. And why are all these people coming to this restaurant anyway? And we shouldn't have come here.
Right.
I don't think we should give them a tip. Anything like that. You're having this conversation with another girlfriend. You're going to connect through that. It's a shared experience. But you don't understand when you have that conversation with a man, he feels like a failure. See, he's going to shut down. He's just going to think, oh, you're high maintenance. Even if everything you're saying is reasonable, there's a time and a place to be reasonable, a time to be romantic. So just don't even talk much about the soup or not make a big deal out of it. But he's going to say, and by the way, I just said a magic $1 million phrase right there, the best phrase you can ever use with a man. It's not a big deal, but I think I'd rather something else. Okay. It's not a big deal. The other day when you called me, I thought you were going to do this. You didn't. I was a bit disappointed. What I really would love is this. Always follow what you like and what you really love. And I know you didn't mean to do that. And it's not a big deal. See, that phrase, it's not a big deal, is so potent because emotions, negative emotions, which are in the tone of your voice, say, this is a big deal. And whenever you say to a man, this is a big deal, you inflate it up, he will minimize it. That's just the way life is. If somebody goes up, the other person is going to get defensive and minimize and bring it back to what he considers to be reasonable and not emotional. And ultimately, if something is purely reasonable, it has no emotion at all. Just as pure emotion has no reason at all. You want to find reasonable emotions. And my reasonable emotions in my world, at least the way I look at it, it's only positive emotions. Those are the ones that are really reasonable. You can be disappointed about things, but it's not a big deal. The old book, it's don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff.
Yeah.
That's really, really great little piece of information there. So if you just say, oh, it's not a big deal, it's not this, a man will hear it and he'll remember it and he'll take it to heart. He wants to please you. He wants to be the best guy ever. And so you don't give him negativity if you can avoid it. That's the whole key I'm saying, because women will not even being aware of it, because if I go to a movie, I bring my wife to a movie. If she loves the movie, I feel like I wrote that movie. I directed the movie. That's how good I feel. And if she points out how bad it was and how terrible it was, and then it's kind of like, I'm not mad at her or anything, but I just feel kind of deflated for the evening. My testosterone levels have kind of dropped down.
Oh, yeah. So it's not a big deal is an example of a buffer phrase, right? That
Yes,
brings the whole level of what's coming out of a woman's mouth down to a level where he can hear it and not feel defensive about what she's saying. Is that correct?
Exactly. And the whole dynamic, and I want to emphasize it again, because it was wonderful that you pointed that out. And men will often say to women, what do you want to do? What do you want to do?
Yeah. We hate that. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do?
So he does that. They reinterpret it. He does it because he wants to do something for you. And now what do you say in response is what a woman will generally say in response is like, I don't know. What do you want to do? Because you're being the people pleaser. relationships, particularly for bonding in the beginning, should be more about what he does for you and less about what you do for him. And ironically, I use emphasis on what you do for him. It's more about how you respond to what he does for you, how you, with buffers, let him know what you want to do. And here's a way to do that. Because he doesn't want to feel like you're controlling him. You don't want to feel like you're controlling him. And so that's often why he'll say, what do you want to do? You don't say anything. And then you say, what do you want to do? And then he's not going to feel controlled. And he's going to go off and do something he wants to do. And he didn't bond with you. He's off having a good time doing what he normally does. You want him to step out of his comfort zone into your world and see that he can provide something for you that he wouldn't even think of. And women have it all background. He's supposed to have the magic hat on and know exactly what you need and so forth. And yes, granted, that is quite wonderful when a man has figured out what you might want, need, because he heard a little thing that you said, and then he comes back and it says he heard you. It says you're important to him. That's very romantic. Absolutely. No doubt about it. But he's not going to be able to do that every week. Okay.
Right,
So
right.
we got to get practical with this and realize the romance will occur as your estrogen levels go up. And your estrogen levels will go up, not because he figured out what to do for you, but because you let him know what you wanted to be done. And he was happy to provide it, his happiness to provide. But even to make it better, never tell him what you want. Tell him 3 things that you want and ask him to pick. Okay. He'll say, well, what do you want to do? Well, we could go for the park, we could go for a walk in those woods. The symphonies in town, that's one symphony I really just love. It's fantastic. You pick whatever you want to do. But he's picking whatever he wants to do that will make you happy. So he's assured, wow, this is great. I know what to do to make her happy. I can pick this. All 3 things would do it. And he gets to take credit for it, because if he chooses and delivers, he gets full credit. And this is big deals to men. It's like, what result was I successful? Was I not successful? The flip side of this is, I was planning one of my anniversaries, and I do a big deal on birthdays and anniversaries and on Valentine's Day. That's big things. Okay. But, just ongoing things every week. How do you score out of the park? Well, you do what she would like to do, that she likes to do. So I was doing one of those anniversary. Actually, this was her turning 50 back in those days. So she turned 50, and I created a whole weekend in some other country with our children and got a great deal in the place. And I did 2 things. One is I made sure she saw me doing it, because as a man, I wanted to see I put some effort into this. Because when you give a man a task and he puts effort into it, your estrogen goes up and his testosterone goes up. He's doing something for you. It has to be within his realm of what he can do. You don't want to knock him and put him down, but it has to stretch him a little bit. So anyway, I brought her to this thing and got T-shirts. Everybody, mom's picture on the T-shirts and 50th birthday, and everybody's there. And then we come back, and probably for about 6 months, she would tell people about this event, and people would say, well, how'd you find that place?
Wow.
And she would always say, John found it. He spent the whole weekend doing it. So it was literally, I got to take credit for it because I delivered it. She, however, I said, what are 3 places you'd like to go? And she gave me the 3, but because I picked, I got to have credit for it. Same thing with movies, it's just like, well, how did you know about that movie? Well, John picked it. She can say John picked it, and I get credit, even though she was hinting around with this and this and this. And while I say that other thing, which is hinting around, I'm reminded of another thing that happens where you end up feeling unloved and unsupported as a woman in a relationship, because you'll have these discussions about what to do, and you'll hint. You kind of say, well, I really like this and like that. What do you like? And he says, well, I really like going to see this movie, or I like to go to the sporting event, or I like for us to just stay home and watch TV.
Right.
And you'll go, okay, because she's a people pleaser. She wants to please him. We're going to do what you want. And he'll do that for the rest of your relationship. And you'll start feeling like he never cares about me. He cares about you. This is a guy who gives his life for you. Doesn't mean he doesn't care about you. It means you didn't speak up and say, hey, last time we did that, this time I'd really like to do this, or we could do this, or we could do this. What do you think?
When you share what you'd like, give him those 3 choices, he gets to pick. He gets credit for picking and executing it. And then he gets that appreciation and that acknowledgement. That becomes a big win-win for both sides, which is
Yeah.
really the kind of relationships we all want.
Absolutely.